Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another week on the Pagoda. I believe the car's got it in for me now. It's trying to brake me and has been close to doing that this week. So you've got the porta power out, and I'll explain in a minute why that's out. But we got... last week I showed you rewired all the wipers. The wipers work, the washers work. I can't turn the ignition on at the moment because fuel will spray everywhere, which is a part I'm coming to shortly. So once that was working and all the electrics appear to be working now, I decided to try and finally get it running properly. On running it, although I'd put some gasket sealer into the manifold gasket, it blew out, and I was concerned that basically the exhaust gases must have been getting into the inlet. So rather than keep trying to mess about sealing it, I thought I'll put a new gasket on, do it properly. This is where the nightmare started, because to get the inlet manifold off, I have to remove the servo. You can see here how tight it is, and that was with it off and pushed to the side. The master cylinder is still hanging off. The clutch slave cylinder's off. And if you've ever took one off, you know how hard it is. Well, once I got the manifold off, you can clearly see that the exhaust gases have been, goes here, has been going past the gaskets and going into the inlet manifold. So my thoughts on why it was running so rough proved to be right, and it was the right thing to do. But to change the gasket, you've got to get the manifolds off. Well, the manifolds, basically, they're really tight fit, and the downpipes underneath, thought undo them bolts, which all 6 of them had rounded nuts on. Undone the nuts with the help of some mole grips and a socket from up the top, and basically the downpipes won't come out. Now, in 40 years of working on cars, I've never had it where I can't get an exhaust system off. So I was struggling to even get it to look like it wants to come off. That's the downpipes into the manifold. It's a stainless steel exhaust system, and basically I got Simon from SMS, who's a great lad, and nothing phases him. And you never hear him say, that ain't happening. Well, after 2 days of us trying to get the downpipes out, we come to the conclusion that they're not coming out. Now, this leaves a problem, because the studs are very, very long, and to get the exhaust off, you need to take the manifolds out, and you can't get the manifolds out with the downpipes on, because you have to take the front ones off first, and they're supposed to come out through the top, and then you can take the rear one off. Well, with the downpipes not coming out, I can't remove the manifolds, which means that I can't get at the studs. And the reason I want to get the studs out is because I want to put bolts back in, so that the inlet manifold and exhaust manifold is easier to refit. Because to say that getting the inlet manifold off is a struggle is an understatement. And this is turning out to be one of the toughest jobs I've ever had to do. This is like 3 days work, and I still can't get the old gasket off because there's not enough room. So last night I removed the bolt from the engine mounting, and I'm going to undo the mounting that side, then try and lift and pull the engine over that way, to give me enough room to get these out. Now once I've got enough room, we can get the studs out. Now we've tried a stud extractor on, and basically the first one has broken. So now I've got to heat the cylinder head up at each stud, and I'm going to try and get in with some Stilsons that I can put against the head so that we're not twisting directly on the shank and break them in the cylinder head, because that will be a pain. But because we've tried to extract them, now the threads are damaged. I can't just put it back on and put the bolts back on because I've damaged the threads. So I've tried with the porta power and the jaws everything that's humanly possible to get them downpipes out, and they're not moving. There's no sign of movement. There's no, the debris that's up there, the rust and exhaust gases have caused, it's like they're welded in and they're just not moving. So I've now undone all the injection pipes as well, which can give me some access for the Stilsons. So as you can see, my week is not turning out how I would have liked it to. I mean, you'd think that changing a gasket would be a simple job. And I know from previous experience that getting the manifolds off, just the inlet manifold alone, is a pain. Now, when I gummed up, I managed to move them far enough to get some paste up, but obviously not enough. Now, if I put the light on, you could clearly see where the exhaust gases have been blowing out, especially on the cylinder there. It's been blowing upwards and blowing all sorts of crap up, and the rest of them don't look any better. So it's got to be done, it's got to be cleaned off. So one way or another, I've got to make enough room to be able to pull these manifolds over, which means I've got to move the engine over. Now I can't even remove the engine, because to remove the engine you've got to get the downpipes off, and apart from cutting a stainless steel exhaust in half to get them out, which I don't want to do, and that's the only way that I'm going to be able to do it. So not a great week again. After doing the electric problems, I could have done with a simple job, but you know, this is another part of restoration really. You come across all sorts of problems. I mean, the car's 60 odd years old, so you know, but the exhaust hasn't been in for 60 years. It's a stainless steel exhaust. I expected it to fall out, but it's not happening. And there's nothing else humanly possible I can do. There's no flange underneath that I can knock down to get it down, and that's why the porta power's been in there. It's just not happening. So starting on Monday, I'm going to start trying to make some more room so that I can get the studs out. Once I get the studs out, I'll go and buy bolts, and it'll be far easier to put back together. But it's all part of the game, I'm afraid. It's not what I wanted, but the car is really trying me patience, and as you well know, I have got patience. There's nobody else going to come and do this for me, so I've just got to keep going and going and until it's solved one way or another. So there we have it. The only plus is that the wipers and washers work, but I'm convinced that once this gasket's done, I can get it running better. I mean, it was running all right, but it wasn't right, and you know, I want it right. And plus it started blowing quite badly, so there was an exhaust blow, and that won't pass an MOT like that, so it's just got to be done. The gasket arrived by post this morning, and 2 new O-rings for the downpipes that don't look like I'm ever going to use now. Some plug leads. You know, it's almost there, but not. So I hope you find this fascinating, but it shows that, you know, even we have troubles and we're supposed to be professionals. I mean, I'm a fully skilled mechanic by trade and did it for God knows how many years and restored rakes of cars that some of you have seen in the past. But I've never had an exhaust system that I can't remove. This is a first. And it'll be my last, because after this car's finished I'll only be detailing, there'll be no more restorations. So it just had to play up, didn't it? Right then, well, that's really this week, and it looks like a good part of next week, and then it'll be break up for Christmas. But I'd really like to have this running better before I break up for Christmas. But we'll see how we get on. Right then, I'll see you next week, hopefully, with some better news. Well, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, it does help, and it cheers me up anyway every time I see one more person go on the subscribe list. Thank you very much for those that have, and I'll see you next week.